welcome to vlogmas day 8. It is vlogmas day 8. For this vlogmas video, we're doing my end of 2023 alt list, groups, biases, and songs from each of my top alt groups. I feel like I get constantly asked like who my alt groups are, who my alt biases are, and all of this. I do have a card dedicated to like that tells you all of it, but if you haven't looked at it, I kind of just wanted to also make a video to like put into my K-pop diary. So this is also part of my K-pop diary series, so to just like document like what groups I alt vote at certain times in my life, and I think it's just really fun and special. So welcome to today's vlogmas video. I have the entire list on my iPad here, so it's going to be alt groups, semi-alt groups, groups that I stan, and I was going to put groups that I casually like listen to on here, but that would be a long list because I listen to a lot of groups. Honestly, I listen to a lot of groups more than I stan because like there's so many groups out there that I just can't fully like dive into. And then we have soloists, my old soloists, and then we're gonna get into alt biases, and then semi-alt biases, and then we'll get into like my alt songs. So hopefully that made sense, but just follow along and I'm sure it'll be fine. To start off, we're gonna start off with my top alt groups. Like all of these groups that I'm about to name, like they've always been in my top alt group list, but it always like shifts to who I alt more. But so my top alt group, they just rose to the very top because of the recent comeback. It is Tomorrow by Together, 2x2, my TXT. They're my top alt group. I love them to death. They were the second group I ever got into. It was BTS, TXT, and then Enha and Skiz at the same time, like 2020, 3 years ago, almost 4, which is literally insane. But 2x2 are my top alt group. I fucking love them. Second alt group is Anteam. If you don't know Anteam, I feel like I can rant about Anteam for centuries, years. Like I feel like honestly TXT and Anteam tie at the top, if I'm being completely honest with you, because I've been with Anteam since it was just the like 4 members before like they even went on their audition show, like before the rest of them were announced and like the whole thing happened. I did document my entire journey with Anteam on my main channel, so you can go watch that. I'll probably like link the playlist above my head. So I honestly, really, if I'm being honest, I feel like TXT and Anteam do tie for like #1 alt groups. Like I feel like they have such special places in my heart, genuinely so. Next is Zero Base One. I've also been with them pre-debut. Me and my cousins saw like the little videos they were releasing before Boys Planet happened, so I've been like a pre-debut stan basically before Boys Planet even came out from episode 1. Like I didn't know if I was gonna watch it because I couldn't go through another survival show after watching Island. After watching that, I was like, no, I can't put myself through watching that, because like even though I know who debuted through Island, like obviously Enha, I couldn't do it. But I watched Boys Planet and ZB1 have easily so quickly became alts. I love them. They are one of my top alt groups, as we all know right now. Next is Stray Kids. They were my top alt group after I saw them in concert for a long time, and even before that. Like Stray Kids are really special to me. They came into my life, like I started alting them on my birthday actually. I got into them a little bit before, and I like fully like said, okay, I'm gonna stan after watching Backdoor, and it was such a special day and I would never forget it. And they will always have a special place in my heart, which is why they're always going to be like an alt group for me. So Stray Kids are also one of my top alts. Next is Boy Next Door. I've also been a pre-debut stan of Boy Next Door. A lot of 5th year groups have been pre-debut for. Boy Next Door, I saw Hybe retweet like their logo motion, and the name immediately intrigued me. And then I got my group chat to like get into a little bit, and I got one of my friends, Blake, to stand with me, and now I think almost the whole group chat pretty much stands Boy Next Door. Sorry, that's kind of rude, I don't know what that is. And I adore them. I love Boy Next Door. Next is The Boys, you guys. If you watch my channel, you know my journey with The Boys is kind of spontaneous, insane, but one of the best things I ever decided to do. Like one of the best decisions in my life was to stand The Boys and to alt them, and I am so happy, genuinely. Next is Le Sserafim. They are the only girl group that have been able to capture my attention and keep me standing, because I always found it so hard to stan in old girl groups. Like I wanted to stan twice. I wanted to stan ITZY. I wanted to like ult them and stuff. I'm like, at one point I semi-ulted those groups, but then I kind of just like fell out of it. Like nothing could really keep my attention. But Le Sserafim were the only girl group that just like, I don't know, something about the girl power in their music and something about them. Next and last alt group is Omega X, my Pookies. I recently got into them earlier this year, and it was because of Jaehan and Yechan's drama and their BL drama, and it's so good. A shoulder to cry on. I really recommend to watch it. I got my friend to watch it because she also ults Omega X, and it's so good. But yes, they are one of my top alt groups. Moving on to my alt groups. Okay, NCT Dream. I got into NCT I want to say I want to say maybe like around the time I was like kind of doing my 18 series was kind of when I started getting to NCT Dream became one of my top alt groups at one point. Like they genuinely were. And I still ult them, obviously, like they're still like an ult group. Next we have ENHYPEN. If you have been following my main channel, you know that at one point they were my top alt group. I was really just like captured by ENHYPEN, and I still am. Their music is so good. Like they never failed to like reel me back in and just remind me of how much I really do love them. So ENHY Rise. I think I kind of talked about this on my Patreon. I fully wholeheartedly tried to prevent myself from ulting Rise, not in any bad way, just because I don't have time to ult another group. I genuinely don't. I kind of mentioned on my main channel too, during my Talk Saxy reaction, that like it's easier to react to Rise when I include them in my like catch up marathons, which I have a shit ton of those to do because a lot of things have been coming out and I've just been really behind and I'm getting sick, so it's just time isn't in my favor. But I did. It happened. Like I knew it was gonna happen, and it happened, and I do ult Rise. Next is Xikers. My friend Blake got me into Xikers, and I adore them. They are my children, my pookies. I love them. A-Turn. I got into A-Turn because of Kyungmin. I actually saw their music video like Tic Tac on my recommended, and I was gonna watch it on my own, but then I saw Kyungmin all over my timeline. I was like, wait, he debuted here? And Kyungmin, if you kind of kept up with my TikTok, Kyungmin was one of my top picks for Island. Like obviously I knew who debuted because I love ENHY. They're one of my old groups, obviously, but I really loved Kyungmin in Island, and it made me so happy to find out that he debuted. So of course I had to listen to A-Turn, and they're one of my old groups. Last alt group is Bangtan, BTS. They were the first group I ever got into, I fell in love with, I adore, and they will forever be an alt group. No matter how old I get, how many more groups I stand, they will never leave in the old list because of how much their music means to me and how much they mean to me. I know I don't talk about them a lot, but they really are a group I listen to and treasure on my own. Next up we have semi-ults. 17. I love 17. I adore them, and I remember my 17 series. I still, every single title track I listen to, so good. P1 Harmony, my P1. I love them. I can't even remember how I got into P1. Oh, I did them in my K-pop groups I don't listen to series. It was 17, P1, and 80s. Oh my god, if you haven't watched that, I think you should. Like, it was an adventure because I love all three of those groups. But P1 Harmony, Card. Recently got into Card. After listening to Icky and then listening to Cake, I was like, damn, they are sick as hell. And I listened to a few other songs, and I semi-ult right now because I want to get into them more, listen to more of the music. But the songs that I heard, I think it was like Ring something. I want to say Ring the Alarm. That song is so good. Just Be, if you didn't know, I do casually like semi-ult Just Be. I recently started like kind of like getting into them like kind of on my own. I kind of always knew about them because of Gonwoo and Jimin because they were on Island, and I kind of like I had them on my channel a few times, and I just like recently fell more and more in love with them because of Doyeon. So I semi-ult Just Be. And last but not least, we have Kepler, because I think I mentioned they were the first girl group I really like was able to stand for a while. Like technically I was pre-debut like a week before. One of my old friends like got me into Kepler, and then I fell in love with them. And I still listen to their music. I adore them. They are my girlies. Now onto groups that I stan. I stan a lot of groups, and I also casually stan a lot of groups, and I also casually listen to a lot of groups. So there might be a lot of groups that I don't mention here because like I listen to them, but not as much as I listen to these groups, if that makes sense. Like for example, like Monsta X, I got into them a while ago, but I don't talk about them, but I love a lot of their music, okay? I know them. I love them. So like if there are any groups that you like wonder if I know or listen to, you can definitely like leave a comment if you want, and I'll just like answer. But stan, Art Beat V, oh my god, so good. IVE, ITZY, aespa, and Mix Gravity, even TIOT and Stacy are some of the groups that I stan. I stan a lot of girl groups, and I casually listen to a lot of girl groups, but I don't like fully ult them. I find it hard to do that. But if I were to like ult any of these girl groups, I probably would be aespa. aespa is like really good. Like my cousin ults aespa. So now for my ult soloist, BI. Do I even have to say? I still have to get to his recent comeback. I haven't listened to the title track or the EP because I'm doing that on my main channel, but I'm excited. Kim Woo-suk. I got into him because of 2020, the drama he was in. He's also in another one called Finland Papa. I think that's what it's called. Correct me if I'm wrong. Leo from Trainee A did debut as a soloist. He only has one song, but when I tell you that song is crack, it's so good. And Hyunjun, my Pookie, my everything. He was a former member of The Boys, and his 3 songs that he has are absolutely amazing. They still stick with me to this day, and I still listen to them. Like, they genuinely will forever mean the world to me. Moving on to my bias list. Ult of ult biases. My top ult of ult biases out of every single group that I stan. And I feel like people kind of like make it a thing where like you can only ult people if they're in your like ult group list. You can ult anybody you want. Like, you don't even have to like fully ult the group, but you can ult a member. Like, if you ult them, you ult them. Top ult of ult bias is Bumgu. I mentioned this in my Free Fall album reaction. Because of Blue Spring, he became my ult. He did so amazing on that song, and I feel like I've always biased Bumgu. Like, he's always been in bias line. He's always been there. But Bumgu is my ult of ult of ult of ult of ult. Also, K from and Team. I've been with him for so long, so I do ult of ult him. Felix, of course. Obviously. If you know me, you know how in love I am with him. Hanbin and Jonghao. Hanbin, literally, I think, Hanbin, Jonghao, Yujin, Gyuvin, Matthew, even June. Like, not like most of the ZB1 members I had in my top 8. I think all of my picks debuted except for Keita, but he ended up debuting in even, so it's okay. So I feel so happy, and so obviously Hanbin and Jonghao are my ults. I feel like a lot of people ult them, but I really relate to them and I adore them. And last but not least, we have Younghoon. He just became ult bias. Like, he just became an ult of ult bias. Like, he was already like a semi ult, you know, like kind of like ulted because I do ult the boys. But recently I literally just recently made this decision. Like, he really is like an ult of ult bias, and I can't fight it. So now, ult bias list. Tessan from Boy Next Door, I do ult him. Sakura, obviously from the Seraphim, I do ult her. She is my girly. That is, I love her. Yechan from Omega X, how can I not ult him? Like, you guys know how in love I am with him. And Jun from NCT Dream, he is my ult. Jungwon, obviously Jungwon's been biased since nearly when I first started standing and hyping. Wonmin and Songchan are my ults in Rise. Minjae and Junghoon are my ults in Zikers. We miss Junghoon. I cannot wait till he comes back. Like, he's so talented. Kyungmin and Myunggo are my ults in 8-turn. Yoongi is my ult in BTS, and Jongwon and Mingao are my ults in 17. I do have like whole bias lines for all of these groups. I just didn't listen. If you want to see like full bias lines, I think I put them in my card. Now my semi ult biases: Doyum from Just Be, Somin from Card, and then Younghoon and Hye from Kepler are my semi-ult biases. Last segment of this video are my ult songs. So there's about like 5 to 6 songs from each of my top ult groups. So for TXT, my ult song is Blue Spring. Wishlist is another ult song of mine from 2x2. That song recently just started meaning so much to me, and I don't know like it speaks to me. 0x1 Love Song, obviously. I don't even have to explain myself. Thursday's Child Has Far to Go will always mean something to me. That song came out when I like needed it the most. Like that, like Minnesota 2 came out when I needed it the most, so I adore that song. Moa Diary has become one of my favorite songs ever. I love Moa Diary. And obviously Loser Lover, because that was my first comeback as a Moa. My ult songs from Anteam: War Cry. Doesn't have to be explained. That song has been living in my head rent-free. Genuinely. Dropkick has also become one of my favorite songs ever. It's so pretty. Off of the same album. Under the Scan, their debut, obviously. Blind Love. When I hear that song, I want to like cry into my boots that I don't own, but like genuinely, it's so pretty. Firework, obviously, you guys know how much their first comeback means to me. I love the fuck out of that song. And also Wolf. That's like, Nicholas owns that song. Daki also owns that song with the high note, but yeah. 0x1 ult songs. I'm gonna try to speed this up. In Bloom, obviously, because it's their debut. Jonghao Solo, always. Do I have to say it? Crush, first comeback, stellar, Chef's Kiss, genuinely. Melting Point, because it is my favorite B-side, and also Good Night. Don't have to, please, all these songs, these are also like recommendations. If you haven't heard of any of these groups or listened to any of these songs, please go listen to them because they're so fucking good. Skiz ult songs, Rockstar. I've been obsessed with this song. Cheese, okay, look, listen, when you hear me out. Hearing the song in concert just altered my brain chemistry. Like, I have so many favorite Skiz songs, like Elevator, ooh, so good. Side Effects. That song hits so hard live. Elevator does too. Though, oh, and Maniac. Obviously Given. Like, hearing the song live was just life-changing. Boy Next Door ult songs, but sometimes Mogata, because best first comeback. Oh my god, cannot imagine a better comeback. Serenade, because it's my favorite B-side off of their debut, and Crying, because it's my favorite B-side off of their first comebacks. The Boys ult song. If you don't know me, No Air is my ult The Boys song. Nothing will ever change that. That is like the queen for me. Nothing will ever top her. She's the queen. But Whiplash, Fantasize, and Whisper are right next to her too. Like genuinely, all the Boys songs have such pretty b-sides, and I feel like more people should talk about them. Just the Boys in general, but like their b-sides. No Air was so ahead of its time. Like that is such a good song. The Seraphim ult songs, Eve, Psyche, and the Bluebeard's Wife, a given. Like this song is promoted like a shit ton. Still good. And still haven't gotten sick of it. Blue Flame recently became an obsession of mine, and I don't know why, but I'm not mad about it. Impurities, I don't have to explain that. Also, Fearless, their debut is so good. Last but not least, we have Omega X ult songs, Junk Food, obviously because it was my first comeback with them, and it's so good. It's so good. Touch, my favorite b-side off of If You Know, You Know. Oh, it's so good. Love Me Like, you know how I feel about the song if you watch my reaction to it. I love the fuck of the song, and obviously their debut, Vamos. I love that song. Also, Binary Star. That song has a special place in my heart. I don't know how else to describe it, but okay, that was my end of 2023 ult list for groups, biases, and songs. I hope you enjoyed this. Like I said, I had so much fun documenting this for like myself, but also for you guys to know, because I feel like I do get questions. So I hope you enjoyed this vlogmas video, and I'll see you tomorrow for day 9. We're already about to hit double digits. This is crazy. But yes, I will see you for vlogmas day 9. I hope you enjoyed today's vlogmas video, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.